I am sure sports. You know me there. I'm coast to coast representing. I mean, I say this is righteous representing for Omar. You don't know, come get the sports over here from near and far. Boy. Me say I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. I am sure sports, one thing me sure about. When me say sure, that me not doubt. Come get your sports, get it over here. Come subscribe, repost and share. If me not sure, that me not say it. Know who score, that me not say it. Never know the game play, that me not say it. If me never seen a game, me no know who play. For your sports news, better come over here so. For your soccer news, then come over here so. If you don't love sports, still come over here so. For the day done, you are gonna love over here so.
So when it comes on to behavior concerning football, Jamaica is decent. I am sure that if we can get all of these things done, set in place by the end of April, it gives us enough time before the World Cup campaign. Not afraid of no Brazil, no Argentina with these crap of players. We are good enough. Remember, like, subscribe, share. Listen, comment, let me know what your thoughts are.
Trick Nick Jerk Marinade gives your meats and vegetables authentic Jamaican jerk flavor. The spices are directly from Jamaica. Spices like jerk seasoning, allspice, Scotch bonnet pepper, fresh scallions, thyme, ginger, and garlic. The key ingredients to a great jerk marinade. 0% sugar and low in sodium. You want to try it?
Made up of 18 Jamaican herbs and spices. Add delicious, bold flavor to your next grilling experience. Flavoring sauce, a marinade, basting, condiment, or topping. Trick Nick Jerk Barbecue Sauce.
All right, greetings and welcome to I Am Sure Sports. I am your host. My name is Man. Yes, and this is going to be a good one. First, let me apologize to you for being late, but it is going to be worth the wait. We have a very, very special guest in the house, and I have my co-host as well, and we have a host, right? But there's a couple of things you need to get right. So tonight, there's a major competition going on, and whoever wins this competition is, we're going to say they're the better footballing team, all right? So here's how it works, right? We're going to check how many persons from Trinidad and Tobago are on the stream and how many persons from Jamaica are on the stream. And whoever have the most fans will be with the champion. All right? So all my Jamaican people, please get out the Jamaican diaspora and the locals from Negril to Moran Point right now. The East Coast, the West Coast, the North Coast, and the South Coast. Make sure you run out. But it's going to be a good one. Welcome to the channel. As usual, we ask you to hit the like button. We ask you to subscribe. We ask you to share as we get ready for this very interesting discussion we're going to have with former Trinidad and Tobago soccer star, MLS top scorer, played in the Premier League, in the leagues in England, dominated the Caribbean, many records. But I'm going to allow the man who can do more justice to him and talk more about him. His name is my friend, Andre. And like I said, he's going to try and call out all the Trinidadians in the building. But we know Jamaican, we're enough. So make him feel welcome. Sir Andre, see it already. His screen is all blanked out. I don't know what is going on.
Can you see me?
No, we can't see you. We've seen a blank screen. Are you? Oh, let me take back all of that. Is the competition that is causing that? Oh my Lord.
No, well, I don't know why you can't see me. I could see me in the screen. You can't see me?
No, we can't see you, but we're going to invite our guest on because we can see him.
I don't know why you can't see me.
Are you seeing him? Are you seeing him, Stern?
You can't see me?
No, we're not seeing you.
Wow, that's interesting because I'm seeing
it seemed like you're frozen.
Yeah, I think
Okay.
so. I'm seeing his name, but nothing.
Oh, there you go.
Yeah, he's
Now we
there
are
now.
seeing
Yeah,
you.
he's there.
That,
Oh,
that
you can see me?
introduction scared you? Yeah, we're seeing you now.
You scared me there for a minute. But here what I want to know. How you decided to create a competition on your own, one that you know the results of. How is that a fair competition?
No, this is the fifth. No, we have Stern John on, so I'm expecting that Trinidad are going to. This is a legend in
He is.
Trinidad and in the
He is.
Caribbean. So I'm
He is.
expecting Trinidad and let me say Trinidad and Tobago. Ricky Tang, you cannot say Trinidad, right? Let me just tell you that. You have to say Trinidad and Tobago. All right. But introduce our guest, Andre, and welcome, Mr. John. Go ahead.
How you doing, Stern?
Hi, good night, Andre.
Good. I
How you
appreciate
doing?
you coming on tonight. We have Stern John, Trinidad and Tobago, former international, as man said, leading goal scorer for Trinidad and Tobago. Has played in the MLS, has played in Europe, and had a very stellar career as a player. Been to the 2006 World Cup with Trinidad and Tobago. Was involved in a very exciting qualification around the games, and he's here to share some of his experiences with us tonight. I can go on forever talking about introducing Stern, but we'll give Stern a chance to talk a little bit about himself and what his journey has been like.
It looks like the competition is working. I see. I think this is Deke Katue. I hope I get the name right.
Keto.
Keto.
Keto, I think it's
Keto. There you go. And we have all right. This is a Trini, right? Because they don't live in Tobago, so they put Trinidad there. I think Leopold is the name. All right. Welcome to the chat.
It looked like I'm gonna win, man.
Let's see. I'm sending out invites right now.
Stern, you might set up a competition that he know he could win.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
but guess what, Stern? If you win on the field, so we are game that's all right.
On the field, yeah.
Stern, let's get going. I want to talk to you a little bit about your career. We can go through team by team, and but I think I'll try to take a slightly different approach to it. Could you tell us a little bit about what got you, what motivates you to play the game of football?
I think I came from a sporting background. My uncles and my cousins, and they before me, they used to play football, even cricket and stuff like that. So I was there with them at a younger age. Wanted to play football. I used to play cricket as well in Trinidad when I was younger. But I think we got an opportunity when we played for Malta Balkans with Alvin Corley and them back in the day. We used to train at Cab Grounds in St. Joseph down there. We were able to go to the Dallas Cup. We were able to travel from a young level or from youth to get that experience, and obviously you're watching the English Premier League, which was the Barclays Premier League back in the day. That you wanted to be a professional player. You wanted to go to the UK. You just wanted to play football. That's what I wanted to do. And I think it started from there, playing with Alcons, and we were exposed at a young age to go and play international football and to get experience.
Okay, I could certainly identify with that because I too had that experience with Alcons, so I could identify with that. Does the words Parliament, Etihad League, and Church?
Yes. Actually, how can I forget that?
Church in particular. Can you tell us about that?
I think a player who hasn't played in Etihad League or in Church Street, in those places, you haven't played football, or you haven't played minor league, or you haven't experienced football at a young level. I think we were able to play in Etihad League. I think playing in Etihad League was one of the biggest minor league back in the day as a young footballer coming up. We were able to play there with Parliament and plus my local childhood team, uncle's team, Chocolate City United, and we were able to play that at a young level and get that experience. Also, we were playing against older guys too as well too, so we always had that mental toughness and that natural toughness as well to being able to play against older guys too.
So I was reading something today, and I learned a little bit about you, and I could identify with it because we all had to make sacrifices at time. I think mine's to play on a Sunday morning. I had to go to church, so I had to go to church at 5 o'clock in the morning so I can be able to be at football for 9 o'clock in the morning. You had your experience with that as well, in terms of playing with Parliament,
Yeah, actually,
football team. Well, can you tell us a little bit about that story?
no, actually, I can relate to that too as well too. I think on a Sunday, back in those days, your parents, they want you to go and confirmation classes after church. And I came up with a plan because I wanted to play football because our church was Tapiga Anglican Church, and it was right next to Eliat Savannah actually. So we used to go to church at 6:30 in the morning, and then after we had to go confirmation classes, and obviously the confirmation classes were clashing the time we had to play football in Eliat. So I told my friends and they to bring my football boots down to the Savannah, and I used to backdoor it and leave the church and go to the Eliat Savannah and play football.
What
So,
does
yeah.
backdoor it mean?
Trapdoor, yeah. Go to the back door and head out to the football field. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And head out to the
sometimes
football field, yeah.
that is a result of one's love for the game, right? And desire to play the game, and having to sometimes
Yes.
if you have to go against the rules, then it's a good reason to do it sometimes. For the game. The game is that it means so much to us. So you played in Trinidad, you played for Alcons, you played what are the teams you played for in Trinidad?
Excuse me?
What are the teams you played for in Trinidad?
Oh, I played for I played for Alcons, I played for Trinidad United as well under Jab Brown. He's one of those guys that are very, very strict coaches and stuff like that. So yeah.
So you played in Trinidad, and then at some point in time you left. You came to the United States. I believe that was my first time meeting you. I think it's around 95. I think
Yeah,
I met
we
you at High Point. And tell us a little bit about you've had a different journey, a journey that most kids in Europe don't experience, and today here in North America, in America itself, it has changed a little bit. Tell us a little bit about your journey after coming here and how you get.
Yeah, definitely. I think I left. I was able to. Those days, obviously Alvin, the coach of Mordecai Balkans, he got us a scholarship. I went to a junior college in New Jersey, Trenton, New Jersey, called Mercer County Community College. From then, I went on to play in the A League. Like you said, I started from the bottom all the way up. I went through the lower leagues, through college, through everything, and to make it to the top level, and got to the World Cup too. But I will go back from when I went to college in the US, and then I went on to play in the A League. I went on to play for Carolina Dynamos. That's why I met you in North Carolina a few years ago. Well, a long time ago.
A long time ago.
Yeah. And then we went on to play at New Orleans Robo Gamblers in the A League as well too. And I was successful there. Being top goal scorer again. Myself and Mickey Trotman played there. A couple other guys, Glenn Benjamin, a couple of Trinidad guys there as well too. And then I was spotted in the MLS by Coach Tom Fitzgerald, who was coaching Columbus Crew then. And he came up and he spoke to me. He's like, you know what? I need you as a striker. I need a striker like you could score goals too. And I think you can score goals in the MLS as well too. But I can't put you in the window because those days, when they put you in the shop window as an MLS player, anyone could take you. So he had me as a discovery player. So I think the rest of the league didn't find out who I was until I got into the MLS.
Oh, at this time, let me just ask, did you play like youth football for Trinidad, meaning under 17, under 20?
Yes, I did. I did growing up playing in Trinidad youth football for national teams and stuff like that too as well too. Before I left Trinidad, I think I remember a story I was telling a couple of friends of mine. I was just desperate to play football. No matter what position I got on the field and I just wanted to play. Remember one of our youth teams, the coach didn't fancy me as a striker, but I just wanted to make that team, I just wanted to make that team. So I went to make the team as a defensive midfielder. And I did make the team, but I never played at all. And I think that was the turning point in my career. It's like we went into a tournament in Honduras in Tegucigalpa, and I never played a minute. And from then on there, I was like, you know what? no, this has to change. You know, I need to play. I'm a striker. I want to play, and I was hungry from since then. And looking back at it now, I think that was the turning point in my life and my career as well too.
Was that the under 17 level or under 20 level?
Yeah, under 17 and 20 level. Yeah.
Oh, okay. So you never officially played in an under 20 tournament, like
Yes, we
in
did.
terms of minutes?
We played it. Well, but I was there. I didn't play.
Oh, wow. So you were like, would you consider yourselves then a late bloomer, meaning you got into, your maturity in terms of a footballer in your 20s, because that's when you broke into the national team?
Yeah, in my 20s, but I was always playing youth football and I'm there and amongst it and there. But obviously, the coach, he didn't fancy me as a player then, and as his choice player, he had different players he was choosing from, and so I mean that's the coach's choice. I mean, so it's not that I'm a late bloomer, but I was there and about playing and scoring goals and different stuff like that. But at that point, he chose the other direction and he chose other players, which is fair enough. That's part of the game. We all know that,
because what I'm wondering if the fact that you probably were playing college at a junior college in the States in your latter teen years would have affected you, like cementing a spot as a starter over the other teenagers who were in Trinidad and Tobago playing locally.
Yeah, because I went away after I left high school in Trinidad. I left Trinidad. I went to Mercer into the US, so I was always away and backward and forth to Trinidad a lot too. And obviously, when you're playing football in the UK or soccer in the UK, as they say, NCAA rules, you're not allowed to go back as much as you can. And obviously, the whole situation with your scholarship and different stuff like that, you have to be careful too as well.
Okay. You see, I'm really asking that because I know, like for Jamaica, I think it is similar. Once the kids go to junior college or high school in the States, it's almost like so hard for them to come back home and get game or to even play, exactly for what you said, because they can't come back as regularly as they would want to because of all the rules, and you don't want to do anything to affect your scholarship and stuff like that. So they end up, some of them, not being called to the national team or the junior teams any at all. And so that's why I asked the question, that could that have been one of the factors why you were playing and doing well in the States, but the coaches in Trinidad and the people there, they weren't seeing you on a regular basis to say, yes, Stern still has the quality to start in the under 20s.
Yeah, something like that, more or less. Yeah, because I think when you're out there, they don't have the system to track you like we have now in modern day football. So they weren't sure what we was doing, or if we was ready to play at that level still, or if we were capable to play at that level still. So yeah, definitely.
Yeah. And how did? Okay.
All right, go ahead, man.
So you had the A League, right? Did you win any major honors at Mercer and for the A League teams?
Yes, actually, I was we won a national championship at Mercer in 1995, and I was
and you were going to skip over that, like we just won.
Yeah, it was so far. It's a long time ago, so I have to remember it in part. So I have a ring as well too. I know in the US, having a ring when you won a national championship or national title is a massive thing. So yeah, I have my ring as well too. It's somewhere in Florida there in a glass case there. So I mean it's something that I cherish a lot. I think it's something that as a young kid growing up in Trinidad, I mean, yeah, when you play this sport and you win stuff, it's very sentimental too as well too. So I definitely have a ring, and I was also on the NCAA team of the year too as well too.
That's 1995.
Yeah, 95 at Mercer, yeah, and I'm on the one of the Hall of Famers at Mercer too as well too. So yeah.
Okay, that's awesome. Awesome. That's awesome. And then in the A League, so you moved from Mercer and you went into the A League.
I went into the A League, yeah. I went into the A League, and I remember I was at Carolina Dynamos, and I had a coach from the UK. His name was Alan Dix, and I was there for a few months. And obviously, coming from Trinidad, they're skillful. They wanna do tricks and flicks and stuff like that. And I remember in a game, I made a back heel in a game, and he took me off, and I had to sit next to him. And he's like, "Never ever do a back heel in a game again." I was like, "What?" And he's like, "Yeah," and everything went sour from then. After I left Carolina Dynamos, because it didn't work out there with myself and the coach because of a back heel, I went to the Gamblers in New Orleans, and I was MVP there, and I also won the scoring boots there as well too. And that's where I got sold by the MLS. I was spotted by the MLS, I should say.
Okay. All right, Andre.
Stern, you're the leading goal scorer for Trinidad and Tobago. You obviously have scored a lot of goals in your career. At what point did you consider yourself a goal scorer?
I think at a very young age. I think as a young age, I remember playing in with my uncles and they back in Trinidad. I remember coming from school one day and they used to be playing in for Chocolate City and the league in Five Rivers where we lived in Trinidad. And I came on. Obviously they were short. They had like 7 or 8 men, and they're like, "Still, come on, play." I went on and play I was in primary school, still playing amongst the big guys. And I remember my uncle went up the byline and square one back across, and I went up and headed between all the big guys and scored and headed into the back of the net. And the defender volleyed me straight in my chest. I was knocked out for like a good couple of minutes. So I know then and there, I know I had some type of bravery. I know I wanted to score goals, and I think scoring goals is an instinct too as well. So if you don't have the instinct, you're not gonna score goals. I think from then and there, I think definitely I wanted to score goals. I had a natural ability to as well too.
Is there a goal that outside, including practice, at every level you've been at? Because I've heard someone refer to you as a goal scoring machine because of your time in the MLS, and you were scoring at a rate of 0.89 goals a game every 90 minutes or something like that, which is it's up there. It's among the very best. Is there a goal that you remember the most? There are goals that people score. The value of the goal is based on what the team is able to achieve from it. And there's some that we like just personally. Is there a goal that you remember the most, or one that you like the most?
In my career,
Yeah,
or
in the entire career.
I think the during the World Cup qualifiers, I think there's the goal against Mexico. I think that was I scored 2 goals in that
Mexico,
game. Yeah, I think the keeper saved my penalty in that game as well too. But I think the Mexico game was a very special game for me too, in terms of that if we had won when we won the game, was able to get into the playoff too. So it's a game that we had to win, a very important game. We got into the playoffs. And we had a match against Byron then. I think that was a very important goal for me, and a massive game as well too.
So let me ask, because this is important, because see that you're one at the college level, you did well in the A League, and you came into the MLS at Columbus Crew. All right. I mean, a higher level, because the further you go, then the more difficult it becomes. Did this prolific goal scoring continue with you even at Columbus, though it was a higher level, or did it take you years to adjust to playing in the MLS, or once you got in, you just, like I said, I was a machine. So wherever I go, from the get-go, I'm going to start scoring because that's just instinctive in me.
Actually, it took me 5 games to get my feet wet. I went into Columbus, and I was a starter in Columbus. And it took me 5 games to get off the mark. I remember I was striker with Brian McBride. He's one of the US prolific goal scorers for the national team in the US national team, also in the MLS as well too. And I was just a young kid playing in the MLS. You get an opportunity, and he's like fighting yourself. You want to score, you're hungry to score, and it's just like, he's just like, you know what? You have the ability. This it's gonna come. Just take your time, And eventually, once I got that first goal, after 5 games, it was no looking back from then. I was the rookie of the year that season. Ended up with, I think, about 22 goals in that season. It was one of those that you have to be patient as well too. So you're going into the MLS in a different environment, and you have to be patient, especially a young player as well too. You really want to do well because you know your capabilities, but it took me 5 games actually.
And this was when you got called to the national team for Trinidad while you were at Colorado, or that happened while you were playing in the A League?
Columbus.
At Columbus, I was already playing when I was at college. I was already playing for the national senior team as well too, because I made the senior team at a younger age. I remember when I went onto the Trinidad team, the strikes where most of the guys were just, like I said, in the twilight of their career, and they were just leaving to go into coaching and different stuff like that. So Dork and myself and Mickey Trotman, we were the youngsters around the national team around that time too. So we were already a fixture in the national team as well too, at a young level.
Yeah. So you scored 22 in your rookie season. Did you have a more prolific season than that in your MLS career?
No, actually, my second season I actually scored up probably 20. I scored 20. By then, all the clubs in the UK and different clubs were looking at me in Spain and Europe and Germany. Actually, my second season, I remember I signed a contract. This is so funny that because a lot of people don't know this. I signed a pre-contract with Brand Leverkusen. So they were actually paying me to stay in the MLS. They were paying me every month because after a year in your contract, you could sign a contract, like a pre-contract. I signed with Brand Leverkusen. So they were paying me to stay in the MLS. My final year, and I was such a prolific goal scorer. David Platt came in for me. He was at Nottingham Forrest then. And then Graham Taylor. They both flew to Columbus to speak to me. Graham Taylor wanted me to come to Nottingham Forest and to Watford, and David Platt wanted me to come to Nottingham Forest. In the end, I ended up going to Nottingham Forest in my final season.
Oh, so how did that work? Because you had a pre-contract with Brian Leverkusen. They were paying you to stay in the MLS, and you invited people from Nottingham Forest. Who was your agent? I need to get him.
Yeah. My agent back then is a proper piece of work. Yeah, but so in the end, it's so funny that you said that because when I never went to Leverkusen, I went to Forest in the end, and I had to pay back all the money that they gave me. Couple of $100,000 US. I had to pay the money. Yeah,
you had to pay it back.
I had to pay it back. David Platt was such a nice manager, a nice gaffer. He helped me pay the money back when I went to Forest as well too. So yeah.
Oh, because I understand. So Leverkusen was paying you because they were hoping to get your signature.
Yeah.
So when they didn't get your signature, you had to refund the money.
I had to refund the money. Yeah, they took me the FIFA and all that kind of stuff. And when I went to Forest, before I could kick a ball, they had to pay the money back to Leverkusen.
So you didn't pay it. Forest paid it.
Forest, yeah. Well, I mean, I'm not supposed to be saying that now, but it's like 50, 40 years old. Yeah. But that was the kind of manager of what type of gaffer David Platt was. He's one of those guys that he's a player's manager too, and he came in. I remember he flew me over in the Concorde. He flew my family over in the Concorde. We left from New York and we flew to London on the Concorde. It was an amazing feeling like I said, as a young kid again, you get an opportunity to fly in the Concorde. I remember my family there from New York. They took everything they could have walked with from the Concorde departure lounge. So yeah, it was funny. It was a funny story. Yeah, but
so you only spent 2 seasons.
Yeah.
In the MLS, and then you went to Nottingham Forest.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and because I want to hear about that adjustment, but we have here we have a couple of things here. Michael Mendes says great content. Keep up the good work. Nice to see what you guys are trying to do. Michael from England. All right, big up Michael from England. Appreciate it. Then Coach Vin Blaine says, from your experience starting at junior college to MLS, what advice would you give to young players coming up? But I think we're going to get to that probably at the back end, right, Andre?
Yeah.
So we'll keep that question. So now you got to Nottingham Forest because we soon get to
Before we go to Nottingham, go to England. So you played in the MLS for 2 years. You scored 40 goals, at least 42 goals.
Yeah, on my boots.
What is your best moment in the MLS?
I think my last season, we played against DC United, and I scored a hat-trick before I left. And those days they had Echeverry, Marino, and Ben Olsen, those boys who used to play for DC United. Pope, they were all the big hitters, the top boys in the MLS. Myself and McBride, we took them to town. We had a couple of Jamaican internationals as well too, Andy Williams, Jeff Cunningham, and also Ansel Cook from Trinidad as well too. So we had a Caribbean connection as well too. So we more or less gelled with each other. I think back in those days, they were the most guys from the Caribbean who played in the MLS on one team. So we kind of gelled together. But I think my fondest experience is when I scored a hat trick to leave the MLS that year, but to get us into the playoffs against DC United. And so fortunate we lost on the return leg into DC because I had picked up an injury to because I used to play with my back to goal, and I remember they put one of the centre backs to let's take me out, and he caught me in the calf. And for the second leg, I couldn't move. I couldn't move at all. I had to take an injection to play and different stuff like that, but it never worked out in the end. So yeah, that was my last game playing for Columbus Crew in the MLS and in the playoffs as well. So.
Okay, go ahead, man.
Right. So you know, so I figured because moving into the if the schedule is the same, you'd have gotten to Nottingham Forrest for preseason, and they're in the championship.
Yeah, the championship. They were just relegated from the Premiership. With Roy Keane and those boys, and then they were relegated a few years ago. Probably just relegated from the Premiership when I went there. So they were in the championship. I got there in November, and it's one of the coolest experiences I've ever had in my life. I had to stay in a hotel for like about 2 months before I can find a place, and it was a difficult transition as someone like coming from the Caribbean and coming from the US. It's a whole different transition, whole different culture. So it took me a while to settle in off the pitch, but I made my debut. I remember Dwight York, Shaka Hislop, and Clint Marcel. They came to see me when I made my debut at Nottingham Forest. And like I said, I was a goal machine, or like people said, I was a goal machine. I was able to score on my debut to take some pressure off of me because in the UK how that can be. I mean, as a foreigner, you come from the MLS, they're asking like, who's this guy to bring from the MLS? This young kid, and he has experience to play in the English Championship and different stuff like that. So there were a lot of eyebrows that were raised, but I was able to silence the crowd and got them on my side early doors too.
Because a good amount of players also from the MLS would have been moving over to England during that time because Brian McBride had gone over, Clint Dempsey. So a lot of these guys were in that era that you were playing in the MLS who would have gone over into England at different levels. But you said it was hard for you to adjust. You scored on your debut. Who did you play against?
Who did I play against? I don't remember. I think I had it in my head a minute ago, but I forgot. But I think I remember. I can't remember who I scored on my debut against, but I did score my debut. How many? Gillingham. I think with Gillingham. I won this. Gillingham.
Okay. All right. You never got promoted with Nottingham Forest. How many seasons though did you spend at Nottingham Forest?
So this is another interesting story that so when I went to Forest, obviously they had a ridiculous clause in my contract. Like I said, they weren't sure I was able to be successful in the English Championship and score a lot of goals, and so they had this ridiculous contract with the MLS and Forest. So once I got to 20 goals, they would have to pay the MLS $250,000 per goal. So that season so my first season I picked up a knee injury. After 10 goals, I picked up a knee injury. I ruptured my cruciate.
You have to pay the MLS $250,000. What?
Yeah, US per goal. Yeah.
So they told her not to score.
So no, that first season. So that first season, I had a knee ligament injury. So I scored 10 goals, but so that season was wiped out. Forget about my second season now into my first career. So David Platty got the sack and he moved on, but the clause was still there in my contract. So my second season at Forest, I was on 19 goals, and they stopped playing me. They told me I was overweight, I was too fat, I couldn't play for Forest anymore because of that reason, the clause in the contract, and they won't play me at all. And I had to sit on the bench for a couple of months, and they won't play me because they couldn't afford to pay the MLS the amount of money after that.
How you that obviously is a difficult moment. How did you deal with that, knowing that it is not performance, the things they're saying to you weren't true? Is that performance clause in the contract? How did you deal with that mentally?
I think mentally it was difficult because I would have been happy if the money was going to me. It was going to the MLS, so, but it was a difficult time as well. As like I said, I mean, you just start scoring goals. It came off an injury. I was out for like about 8 months. I remember that. I remember going to Belgium. That's why I first met Batistuta there. One of the legends in the game, and he had an injury as well too. Went to Belgium to see a knee specialist, and they told me not to do any surgery, just do rehab for 8 months. And I was able to do rehab for 8 months, and I came back and obviously you're hungry to score goals, you're hungry to play, and there it is, this clause in your contract stopping you or preventing you from applying your trade. So it's very, very difficult.
So on a day-to-day basis, what you would go into training still, and every time I listen to you, I can hear the passion that you had as a player, the drive, the desire to be on the pitch and play. So you're in a moment now where you got to go in every day still and train, but you're not playing on a weekend.
No.
What was happening in that time period?
I had to get my head around it big time, because around that time was the winter time as well too, and obviously I was not allowed to train with the first team as well too. They stopped me from practicing with the first team, so I was training with the second team and playing reserve games and different stuff like that. Yeah, so I had to get my head around it, and I know playing in the reserve and playing with the reserve team. I know there's a lot of scouts and managers. They come to watch the football back then and watch players who play in reserve, and it happened then. Steve Bruce saw me playing in the reserve for Forrest. He was he just took over at Birmingham City, and he was the gaffer there at Birmingham City, and he saw me playing in reserve, and he went in for me. I remember they came in for me, and I think they paid probably about 300,000 or 250 grand pounds to me or something like that. And I made my debut for Birmingham at Christmas Day. No, Boxing Day actually. Boxing Day, because Boxing Day in the UK is like a special day for football there too. They look forward to it. So I made my debut on Boxing Day on an iced-out pitch. I made my debut, and actually was against Forrest. And I scored as well too. Yeah.
Well, but did the clause continue in that second contract, or it was ended?
Once I left Forrest, the clause was ended. Yeah.
Okay. So you played for Birmingham. You scored against Forrest. I mean, what was life like playing in?
It was like I said, when you go to a new club and you score on your debut, you take a lot of pressure off yourself, because the fans can get on your back really fast, because obviously the fans are very passionate about the game. The strikers, they pay you to score goals. They want you to score.
All right, let me just take this one from
scoring my debut as well to take a lot of pressure off of me.
Let me just take this one from Michael. He says, what was the main difference between MLS and the championship? Is it speed or more technical and tactics of the game?
I think the MLS back then was a lot slower. The MLS was a lot slower. I think the championship was, oh my gosh, was so physical. It was so physical. The level was a lot higher. Not much football back then. A lot of the skillful players were cancelled because there was a lot of route one football from back to front really quickly. And I think because of the way I played, or because I played my back to goal, I was able to adapt easily, and I was brave enough to play my back to goal, and I was strong enough. I think I adapted really well. But I think it was a lot more physical. The tempo was a lot higher, the conditions and the tempo, everything, compared to the MLS.
Okay. So how many seasons did you do at Birmingham?
So I done 3 seasons at Birmingham. That same year, I was top goal scorer again, and we got promoted to the Premiership.
Oh, you got promoted to Birmingham?
Yeah, I did actually. We got promoted with Birmingham to the Premiership that same season, and I was MVP, and my teammates voted me MVP, players player of the year, different stuff like that. So I cleaned up that year as well too.
You know what is funny though? I don't know if maybe because I'm in Jamaica, but of course we know Stern John, we know, but even Jamaicans, a lot of Jamaicans, they talk about Leon St. Louis and Russell Latapi, because those guys played in the leagues in Jamaica in their early career. And then we talk about Dwight York, and they always talk about this thing he had with a defender in Jamaica called Mark Hagler Wilson when they all
I remember that game. I remember that game very well.
You were there?
Yeah. Guys at our era, they still speak about him. He's a legend. He had fight in his pocket that game, I think. Yeah.
I was told that he was supposed to mark Dwight at that game. We
Yeah.
always hear this story, and many of us don't
Yeah.
believe it. That he
Yeah,
was just behind Dwight York, even at
everywhere.
halftime
At halftime,
everywhere.
everywhere. It's a crazy story. Yeah.
Yeah, but
That's what you call man marking.
but the thing is though is that your name is when I hear that you led a team to promotion. You were rookie of the year. You are you won at the college level rookie of the year in the MLS, 22 goals, 20 goals, right? You go to England, right? Had a good season in your first season at Nottingham Forest. Moving from there, you went to Birmingham in your first season, your first game, your debut game again. You scored, and you got promoted. And I feel like I don't know if the Caribbean knows all of this. Like I think when we think about Caribbean footballers, probably Dwight York from Trinidad comes to mind, and not necessarily Stern John. So I'm just saying that because it's very strange because I don't know if Jamaica knew of all of this accomplishment.
Mm-hmm.
Is it something that we like people can find when they go through stuff about Trinidad and Tobago footballers? Like the records are there?
No, it's not there. I think you have to hear from the horse's mouth. I think they.
Well, we making it available, man.
Yeah, definitely. I think obviously Dwight played in the Premiership, and back in those times the Premiership was the top league in the world, and still is, so they were able to identify, and plus he played for Man United too as well. But when you talk about goal scoring for Trinidad and Tobago and in my career stuff, you have to mention my name. Definitely.
Dwight is single-handedly responsible for why so many people in the Caribbean that watch the EPL is misguided and back Manchester United.
Andrew, are you having a dig at your host?
Well, no, he knows that we support Arsenal, so I don't know what he's trying to do.
I thought he was a man. You funny. He was having a dig at you.
So no. He's one of the ones that had the dust out his eyes.
So you guys probably happy now.
Yeah, definitely. But you play, how many seasons did you play at Birmingham, and what was that like? And what were you doing for Trinidad? I mean, were you playing Gold Cup, Caribbean Cup, and were you winning stuff in the Caribbean and scoring goals in the competition?
I was winning stuff. I was winning stuff in the Caribbean too as well to play for Trinidad. I think I was one of those guys, and every time I was called up for my country, I always went back to play because I wanted to represent my country for my young level, and every opportunity I got, I went back to represent Trinidad. In fact, it probably hampered my career, probably moving on to play for bigger clubs and stuff like that. Because back in those days, when you play for your country, they never really recognized Trinidad and Tobago or Jamaica or those different Barbados, other countries in the Caribbean. And it's like, why? I remember some of the managers, they're like, why are you going back and play for Trinidad? Why? Well, I mean, what's that about? I mean, why? When you can stay here, They never wanted us to come back and represent our country, I think it was important that I went back and represent my country too as well. And I was able to score a number of goals back then. I remember I scored a lot of goals under Coach Bertel Sinclair. He's a legendary coach in Trinidad. He's from Tobago actually, and he's a guy very strict with this, like discipline. If you don't have this discipline, you can't play for him at all. He was borderline. Sometimes it could have been over the line a bit. Sometimes the way he acted, but that was his mentality, his attitude. And I remember asking Bertel to get this nice fancy BMW, and I wanted extra finishing because I love finishing after training and stuff like that. And I asked him to stay back in the hot tub with me, and I offered to wash his BMW. He's like, okay, no problem. I'll stay back with you, So like I said, I was so passionate about goal scoring. I was hungry. I wanted to play. I wanted to score goals, So I was, definitely scoring a lot of goals when I was at Birmingham City as well.
Yes, and how many Caribbean Cups did Trinidad win while you were playing with them?
I think I won probably 4 or 5, yeah. 4.
What? Jamaica did not participate?
They did actually. They did actually. Actually, I lost once against Jamaica in a thing. I remember Nandilo that left foot and left hand. I remember him really well. He's like me final. We lost them in the final for the first time in the initial cup. Nandilo hit Russ Russell to the hardest shot I ever saw in my life. And then he's like, and we lost in the final. So yeah, I remember that. I remember those days really well.
All right, a couple of questions because today, I don't know, Andrew, have a lot to ask you, but today we're having a discussion about some persons were saying that the talent in terms of the ability to control and pass and head the ball, shoot the ball, players in the Caribbean, Trinidadians and Jamaicans, they are at the same level as players in Europe or in other places in the world. But in terms of the tactical awareness and the other nuances of the game, they are probably way ahead of us. So out of that, someone is asking, I'd love to hear his view of technical ability of local versus overseas players. And I think he's talking about players in the Caribbean versus players in Europe. How far are we, or are we even far in terms of just technical ability, controlling and passing and those things?
Well, it's funny you said that. I think technical ability, we have it in abundance in the Caribbean. And I would say skill is different from technique. So I have a scenario to tell my players, because I'm coaching now. So I tell my players, we have skillful players in the Caribbean. They will dribble, go down the sideline, the byline, but they can't cross the ball. And that's the difference between us Caribbean and the guys in the UK or in Europe. Some of those boys don't have the skill, but if they go down the byline 9 out of 10 times, they will put the ball exactly where you want it. And that is skill compared to technique, if you understand what I mean too as well. We have skill in abundance in the Caribbean, don't get me wrong, but the technique at a young level, the boys in England or the guys in England, they're more advanced because they are in that environment on a day-to-day basis. I think they're in a professional environment from young, and they come up with that mentality and that technical awareness or tactical awareness as well too. Which our players, we are very skillful, but we need to learn the game just a bit more and to progress. I think the game has evolved so much immensely that when we look at the World Cup, we saw some of the teams when they play in transition, it's just scary. I remember back in the one I used to play from a box to box run, used to probably like 10 seconds. Now a box to box in transition, you can get a goal in 7 to 8 seconds. No, so it's scary. And it's not that we don't have the ability to run and play in transition. We just choose not to in the Caribbean. We just don't want to. We have the guys who are very athletic. We just choose not because we are these one.
I think we're having a little trouble with your with your internet. It's go ahead and let's see. You can just you said that we have a lot of guys in the Caribbean.
No, I said we have a lot of guys in the Caribbean with talent, and like I said, talent can only get you so far. We have a lot of players. It's like when you go to Europe, it's like what you want to do extra. What can you do different from the guy in England? Are you gonna run more? Are you gonna tackle more? Are you gonna work harder? And I think that's the difference too as well too with the Caribbean player, the international player too. Obviously, the international player, they grow up in that environment as well too, but they apply their trades on a day-to-day basis too as well too, and there's a whole different kettle of fish too as well too. But we definitely have the talent, but we just need to be in that environment on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah. What was your biggest challenge when you went to play in the UK? Whether it be a personal or from a professional standpoint, Nottingham Forrest, Birmingham City. What was the biggest challenge that you had to overcome? Like I said, being a MLS player, all of
definitely it was a physical challenge for me. The physicality of the game too. Obviously playing as a striker, I'm not the shortest person as well too, but I had to play against some defenders who were 6 and 7 feet guys. And back in those days, like I say, it was not much football. It was getting balls down the side and across, more or less that. I had to adjust a lot of my game. Obviously, I wanted the ball playing to my feet. I remember the coaches, they wanted me to run down the channel. That's just the side of the pitch, down the side of the park. That's what the spaces was back in those days, between the centre back and the full back or wing, as you say. I had to adjust and had to run the channels like, Stanley, get in the channel. I was like, okay, no problem. It wasn't a natural thing for me. And I had to do that if I wanted to play. And if you didn't do that as a striker and get goals, you would have been sitting next to the manager. So it was a difficult transition too as well too. But I had to adapt because I wanted to play at that level too.
For the person who are asking probably where is Stern coaching, he coaches the St. Lucia national team. So look out for them, right?
Yeah.
Trinidad and Tobago and Jamaica, look out for St. Lucia. But some Sunflower, I think Sunflower is asking if you do any form of mentoring. Well, he does some coaching now, and I want to believe that mentoring his players is a part of his responsibility as a coach. But do you do any sort of mentoring? I guess, like, you know, maybe if there are players from Trinidad who are looking to go to England to play, do you mentor them? Do you have that sort of relationship where you try to mentor players who are looking to go pro and play in Europe?
Oh yeah, definitely. Yeah, I think I would love to help players and then continue mentoring players. I think it's a lot harder for the Caribbean player to even get a contract in the UK. I think when we played, there was a lot not easier, but you had a better opportunity. In fact, it's possible for a Caribbean player to even get a contract in the UK or in Europe when they get to a certain age. Once you get past 16, 17, it's very difficult for you. So I think the players and the family, their parents, understand that as well too. So we need to get them out at a young level, or because the rules are now if you don't play for your national team in that calendar year, they won't even speak to you. You know, you have to play for your national team 75% in that calendar year in order to obtain a work permit. That's why they won't talk to you. And I think the kids growing up in these time now, they need to understand how important it is. They need to put the work in because it's not that easy. If it was that easy, a lot of us would have been professional players, you know. So they need to do that. They need some type of mentor. They need to understand. They need someone to coach them too.
Wow. In the calendar year, you have to play in 75%
of the national team, man.
Yeah. So what about nations who probably just play like 4 games for the year?
You have no chance.
Okay. Wow.
Yeah, it's almost impossible, and I think it's affecting the smaller countries as well too, because because of the Nations League and the rules, how it is now is that every game is a seeded game, so you're not allowed for the smaller countries like in the Caribbean that we have here. Like if you have to bet in younger players, because it's almost like you're taking a chance because every game you play is a seeded game, so you could go up and down in your ranking too as well too. So it's very difficult. Yeah.
All right. I know Andre has some question because we want to talk about you even playing in the World Cup. There's so much you coaching, and I have different questions just flying all over the place. But I don't think we get to, for the persons who want to ask the questions about the coaching, you have to hear about Trinidad qualifying for the World Cup and Stern John playing in the World Cup. I think Andre want to do that before we get to his coaching, because they want to know about player selection and do you select player for St. Lucia globally and all of that. So, but go ahead, Andre, with the airline of questions.
Before we go to that, Stern, I don't want to miss the opportunity. You mentioned the word opportunity just now, and obviously in your time and our time there was loads of opportunities.
Yeah.
Players being able to come to the US to go to college, play in the MLS, go to England, and you certainly benefited from those opportunities. Would you say today there's more opportunities or less opportunities when compared to that time period?
I think the opportunity is there, but it's a lot harder than before.
You think the opportunities
because of the rules affecting especially the Caribbean?
I'm not talking about the rules.
To bet yourself, to get a look in. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm not necessarily talking about the rules. The rules is important, but I'm talking about, if you're a young boy in the Caribbean today, playing football and have a desire to play football at the highest level, do they have all the opportunities that we had in the past?
No, they don't. No, they don't. Definitely don't.
What has happened? What has happened that put us the region in the situation that we are in today, in your opinion? Why there's less opportunities? Because there shouldn't be, right? There should be more opportunities.
There should be more opportunities. I think because I think the Caribbean, we need to play a lot more football. Firstly, I think our leagues need to get a lot better. Our MAs need to do a better job in making the FA better for the football to flourish a bit more. I think we have to look after the players a bit more than we used to before, because our players used to be get looked after, but now they're not looking after the players. And the more we play in the various countries, and the more football, I think it's better for the players to get seen outside. And two, I think the players need to take it up on themselves, because when we were younger, I remember we used to be hungry for football, hungry to play. And I think the kids nowadays, there's so much distraction, so much going on, that if you're not hungry for football, then you'll end up falling to the wayside. So I think we have to keep pushing the youngsters to be more involved and be more hungry and spend more time at the craft as well too.
And that's a good point, because if as a young player, if I was in the Caribbean, both you and I from Trinidad and Tobago, if I was in Trinidad at the moment and wanted to have a career in football, and look around and realize that it's as difficult as it is at the moment, I'd look for where's football playing. Okay, I can't get to America at the moment, but maybe I can get to Jamaica, right? Maybe that's an opportunity for me to go and create a body of work that somebody could assess and probably could get me an opportunity beyond that. So I agree with your point that the players have a responsibility as well to look after themselves and try to figure out if they're hungry. Today, whenever I listen to you, as I said just now, I think if they give you a chance, if your bones would allow, you probably would still play, right?
100%.
Yeah, I think I can still hear that in your voice. So that's unfortunate. But as Manaman said just now, you played in the World Cup. You qualified with Trinidad and Tobago to play in the World Cup. And there was a string of games through the qualification period. And I could remember some of them. I'm sure you do as well. I know that but Sinclair was coaching the team, and then he was replaced at a particular moment in the qualification period. What was how do you remember that period? I could remember some really exciting moments against Mexico and Panama and Guatemala. What do you remember at that moment? If you can describe that for us, what that qualification period was like.
No, it was. I think after Bertel left, we had a couple of coaches in between, and then we found, like we said, the right man, Leo Benaka, to study the ship and to understand the Trinidad Tobago player, the culture and how they think and how we want to work and different stuff like that. I think. Huh?
Yeah, you there?
Yeah, I'm here. Yeah, so Leo came in and he more or less studied the ship, and I think the qualifiers was up and down for ourselves and for myself and the national team as well too. Because I remember we started off scoring a lot of goals, and I went through a period of a drought, which just happens with strikers and stuff like that. So you just have to weather the storm, because your capabilities and different stuff like that. But I think all in all, the team really is the first time I think a bunch of guys came together for the cause, and we were hungry to represent Trinidad and to qualify for World Cup. A lot of the guys, we were together as a team. On the pitch, we played for each other. We worked hard for each other as a team, and off the pitch as well too. We got on really well. So I think the chemistry was very important as well too. We were able to go and compete against some of the top countries in the world, because we had a lot of players who played internationally too. I think probably 95% of our team was playing outside. They were applying their trades either in the UK or Scotland or Europe or somewhere. So we was very fortunate about that too as well. And even in the MLS too. We had a couple of guys playing in the MLS too. So we had a lot of international players who were applying their trade outside too. So it was really easy for us to come together and gel as a team as well.
So during that qualification period in 2005, I think we had lost to the United States.
Yeah.
Then we lost to Guatemala 5-1 in Guatemala. We had a tie with Costa Rica, and we had beaten Panama, and for some reason we still had a chance. And I think it's probably around when we played Guatemala the second time. Is that correct? That the coaching change was made. What was Leo Ben Hacker like as a leader?
He was a proper leader, fantastic leader. Not taking anything away from Bertil, but I think obviously Leo came with the experience, and he came with I mean, he had that chip on his shoulder too, because he coached big clubs and big players as well too, and he's here in Trinidad. I think he was able to put the team out in the way that was hard to beat. I think we always had match winners. We had a lot of guys who could win your games, and a lot of guys who could play the game too. But we wasn't organized as good as we can defensively, and we were able to structure that in a way that we were hard to play against and hard to beat.
I think that Guatemala game, and I'm sure you wouldn't forget that one. That probably was the turning point of the campaign, where we beat Guatemala. I think it was 3-1. He scored twice in that game.
Yeah.
Talk to us about that. Describe that for me, because I think I could remember the stadium being packed.
I remember
that night. It was a home game for us. Describe that experience, if you will.
No, for me too as well too. I think it was a very emotional game for me too, because I think I was the number one goal scorer for Trinidad and Tobago. Obviously, in that campaign, I probably scored 12 goals out of 15 we scored. And then I was going through a difficult time in a goal drought too as well. So the fans were on my back. I mean, I was being booed by Trinidad fans and different stuff like that. So I couldn't understand. And I remember in training, my teammates, like I said, they were all supportive of me. And the manager, Leo, was like, "Don't worry, I know what you can do. Strikers go through a difficult time in their career. And I mean, you're going to get chances, you're going to score, you know. And when you score, go tell them how you feel, you know." And I think they opened the goal scoring against us. They scored against us, against the runner play. And then Russell came, step over on the inside and bend the ball bottom corner. And then that was the second half too as well. So he played one for me along the right side of the goal, and I was able to tap it in. And then I had a volley coming down to you, and then Dwight played into for me too in the box as well too. So we won the game. I think we won the game 3-2 as well too, you know. So yeah. I think it was a great comeback for the team too as well.
All of this happened. Your 2 goals came in the last 5 minutes.
The last 5 minutes, yeah.
We went on and we won that game, and we went on and we lost to Costa Rica. But I think after that we beat Panama, and we beat Panama 1-0, and we beat Mexico also in Trinidad.
Yeah. We went to Panama. We beat them 1-0.
Yeah, the Mexico game.
Mm-hmm.
You know, recently we played Mexico in Gold Cup, I believe, and we got a tie. And the approach to the game was a defensive approach. It didn't have the same fanfare as that game. We got a tie. But we beat Mexico back then. I think that speaks volumes to where our football was at the moment. Could you describe that evening?
I think the difference too, we had a lot of players that they were fearless. We knew that we were capable of beating the Mexicos and the USAs of the world, but we have to be in our game. And I think we had a lot of players who used to be stand up and be counted as well. So we had a lot of senior professionals who, like I said, who really could have played at that level as well too. And I think going into the game against Mexico, we have to win in order to get into the playoff. It was a must-win situation. We had a sold out crowd, and we had the fans behind our backs and stuff like that. They were supporting us 100%. So we just had to get the job done. Like I said, I remember the keeper saved my penalty in probably the first 10-15 minutes of the game, and I was like, oh my gosh. SJ, this can't be happening to you again. Mm-hmm. It's almost like, I had to compose myself for a minute, because obviously in the back of your head as a footballer, as a player, you knew what you went through the fans before, you know how they treated you. So you didn't want to end up in that situation again. And I would see the teammates and the players and that I had behind me, the coaching staff was like, come on, let's go. You know what you can do. Let's go. You got another chance. Yeah, and then I remember like I said, against Girona play again, the Mexican left winger, he went up the side and he chipped Kelvin Jack with a audacious trip. Was like scary. Like I can't believe he chipped the ball there and it went into the back of the net. We 1-0 down in a game that we needed to win. So then on there we had to roll our sleeves up and get a victory.
What are you thinking in that moment? I mean, you just scored against Panama for us to win 1-0. You're scoring goals like it's like you were born to score goals. What are you thinking in that moment? You just missed a PK early in the game. Okay, we have to win the game. The crowd is not particularly friendly, right? And you scored a double in that game to win the game. What are you thinking in the moment Mexico score? What is your thought process as an individual in terms of how you can bring what you have to offer to the game?
All right, I think Stern John, you probably receive a call or a message, and so what it has done is that stripped out. I think it has stripped out your audio because you're just talking and we're not hearing you.
Yeah, you're on mute.
You're mute now, so you're still muted. Yeah, you're still muted. You're muted. All right. I think he may not be hearing us clearly as well. So you may have to
Hold on.
Yeah, he may have to sign out and sign back in. Yeah, he may have to. I think he may have to sign out and sign back in because he may have gotten a phone call or a message that sometimes strips out the feed when you're using the phone. But he's going to come back. Listen, we're going to come to your comments. I want to thank all of you, those persons from Trinidad and Tobago. Glad to see you in the house. And I think we probably have a quite even amount of Jamaicans and Trinis.
I think we're winning, man.
Well, that part I don't know. I think it's Jamaica are leading right now. And you're going to have to get Brian Lara to the wicket and we will send out Courtney Walsh to bowl and see how that goes. You know? But
I'll give you this if it means we continue to win Caribbean Cup if and when it returns.
All right. I think. Are you not seeing? Okay. All right, so let him come back in. Once he comes back in, we should be good to go. All right, so please, people, we are going to get to your comments. We're going to get to Coach Vinblin. We haven't forgotten your earlier question. We are going to get to them. I think this is Stern John coming back again. All right, I think you should be good to go now.
Sorry about that. I apologize for that.
Right. Yeah, not a problem. And you were talking about. I think the question was about. But on that. I think
the Mexico game, the Mexico game, we went down 1-0. We need to win. The crowd probably is not being friendly, and you missed the penalty earlier in the game. What is going on in your head at the moment, and how do you arrest that? How do you to go on to score twice in the game to get the result?
Yeah, definitely. As a player, as a player who, like I said, the keeper just saved my penalty and Mexico went up the other side of the pitch and they scored. As a striker, he's like, you're telling yourself this is your fault there. I mean, but you have a short space of time, a short window to get yourself together and like I said, to roll your sleeves up and let's get on with the game. I think we had a lot of time to play into the game as well too. So I was to buckle on and get focused again and just continue playing.
You're making it sound easy, and I'm looking for the response that probably could help a young person in the game.
Yeah.
So obviously all sorts of stuff going to be going through your head, right? How do you redirect yourself?
No, I mean, it's there definitely a lot will be going through your head. You have to focus on the job at hand. I think the minute you start thinking about your ability and start questioning yourself, it's going to be very, very difficult for you and the team as well too. So you have to focus and you have to say, you know what, we need to win this game. Just go and play. Just go back and enjoy the game again and go and play. And I knew to myself that if I get an opportunity or a couple more opportunities that I can score. So like I said, I had to focus a bit more on the task at hand.
So when in CONCACAF we're trying to qualify for the World Cup, who in your opinion, who was your biggest rival in CONCACAF?
Oh, definitely Mexico was one of our biggest rivals. Mexico, Costa Rica, USA, but the Mexico team was the team that we had to beat on that day in order to get to the playoff against Bahrain.
Man is from Jamaica, right?
Don't forget. No. What he's saying is that Jamaica did not advance to the last six.
Group, yeah, they weren't in our group. Yeah,
right. That's what. Come on now.
we got the fourth place.
I must say, I love the rivalry. I love it.
You know this photo, right? I didn't like jump into your gallery, but someone who is watching, his name is Nazri. He said to heal you up because this is Brent's partner, Nazir. Yeah. So
yeah, I saw it because when I was speaking this, I saw the photo. I was like, wow. I mean, I know that dude. Yeah.
So
tell him I say hello as well.
Yeah, man. So he's watching. He's hearing it because he's watching.
And we've been trying to get Brent on, so he needs to. We need to work on that. We've been trying to get Brent on.
But let me ask you this though, because one of the issues we have just as the Caribbean is that we have Trinidad and Jamaica in particular have put together other quality teams, or let me say it this way, have had enough quality at other times and could have qualified for the World Cup. Right? But it has not happened. It happened in your time. It happened in 1998 in Jamaica. But even as Jamaicans, when we look at the last pool of players that were available to us, like if you ask any Jamaican at the start of the campaign before a ball was kicked, they were convinced that we could have even gone out of the zone at the World Cup and done well. We look terrible for the most part. We have seen Trinidad teams as well, with Kevin Molina, that under-20 team that went to the World Cup as they matured, never qualified for a senior World Cup. Why is it that this is just like a one-off thing and all of us are, it's like a dream when it will ever happen again? When there is, you said it earlier, that there's more talent now than during your time. So what is it that we need to start doing so that Trinidad and Jamaica and St. Lucia, we can have a Caribbean team like you did in 2006 and Jamaica did in 1998, qualify for the World Cup in 2026, in 2030, in 2034, and every cycle? What is hindering that? Is it that we have to wait 20 years for talent to come up again? Or do we have the talent and something else is missing?
Like you said, the talent is there. We just need to find a way to play with each other. I think obviously we are from the Caribbean and we have different mentality from the US and Mexico, different parts of the world. We need to find a way to get on together and live together when we're in that environment. I think most of the times, like you said, we have the ability, we have some of the best players in the world, but we just can't play on the field together. And I think it comes down to ego as well too. If you can't gel together as a team, I mean, there's no iron team, so you have to play together. You can be strong on paper, and if you can't play together as a team, then you're not gonna get anywhere in football. And we look at the teams all over the world, even the club teams. When one player scores, everybody goes celebrate. It's like a love with all the players and the teammates and the staff and everything. I think the mentality of football now has evolved so much immensely that gone are the days that players playing on the same team, they'll speak to each other, they'll talk to each other, different stuff like that. I mean, that's not football anymore. I think we have to start somewhere as well too. So we need to get back to that and organizing the team so they can play together. Because we definitely have, when we put a team out on paper, both Jamaica and Trinidad and Tobago, we should be able to qualify for World Cup, or we should be able to get to the next level, but we just can't.
Yeah, and what was it? Was the Caribbean Cup that consists every year playing the Caribbean? Was that an important part of developing the talent and getting the teams to play together? Because we have not had a qualification since that has stopped.
No, because we missed like you said, the Shell Cup or the Caribbean Cup. I think back in our time, a lot of the players used to be looking forward to play in the Shell Cup or the Caribbean Cup against various countries, and that's where we get to play and to compete against some of the best countries in the Caribbean. So hopefully we can get back some type of a cup like that or something there, so we can play amongst each other. And I mean, we need more games. We definitely need more games. We need to bring younger players through as well too, because I think our farming system as well as because we don't play enough football in the Caribbean, we're not bringing through youngsters that we used to back in the day.
So Stan, let me ask you, we qualified for the 2006 World Cup, and I'm sure you could remember that moment when we beat Bahrain to qualify for the World Cup. And you can talk to that, but we have a World Cup coming up. You coach at the moment, and you coach a little bit at the club level in Trinidad. You coach the under-17 national team. Then I think you went to Anguilla, senior team, and now you're in St. Lucia. When you look back at the experience of being at the 2006 World Cup, qualifying, playing at the World Cup, I have two questions, and one is, what was that like for you as a player? What did that mean to your career? And the second part of that question is, if you were still playing today, with the next World Cup 2026 being in North America, right here in America, would it be your ambition to play in that, to qualify for that World Cup as well?
Yeah, I think after we qualify for the World Cup against Bahrain, I think when Dennis headed that ball into the back of the net, I think for us as like I said, for players, for myself and the rest of the team, knowing that you're going to play in a World Cup is tremendous. I think sometimes you have to pinch yourself, because there's a lot of players who play at a high level, even in the UK. I remember even Steve Bruce, he was one of the top players. Play for Man United, won a lot of titles, and he never played in a World Cup, or he never got a cap for England. You know, I think we're looking back at those stuff, and there, I am a kid from Trinidad. Grew up loving the game, and then end up playing in a World Cup is fantastic. I think our first game against Sweden, it was very emotional too for myself and a couple of the teammates too as well too. Especially when you sang the national anthem. You almost broke down to tears. It's like, yeah, you know, you're really at the World Cup, you're playing at the World Cup, you know. And knowing that my mom was there too, my number one fan, she was obviously she had arthritis, and she was on the sideline there looking at the game is I think is priceless. Yeah, you can't get any better than that as a professional player, as an international player. And I mean, you can make all the money in the world, but like I said, playing in a World Cup is something that you'll never forget for the rest of your life.
And so you're there. You're at the World Cup. I was there. As I was at the stadium for all three of those games. The pride that you felt, I think the fans felt a similar pride. I don't think the fans are able to experience the same emotion as the players. It's slightly different, I think, in my opinion. But there was a lot of pride. Traveling to the game with other Trinidadians, meeting people from Germany and other countries, and how they were treating us. Because at that time we were the smallest country to qualify for the World Cup. massive experience.
Yeah.
First game, the game against England, the Paraguay game. How did that affect your career? Did that affect your career in any way?
I think,
Positively,
yeah, after
financially or otherwise?
yeah, after we did so well in the World Cup, obviously we were the smallest country to qualify for the World Cup back then, and everyone was expecting us to go there and get battered or be embarrassed, and we gave a good account of ourselves. The Sweden game, we got the point against Sweden. I think was probably the biggest pointer in the history of the country this far. We held England to what 70 odd minutes, and obviously Crouch pulled Brent Sancho's dread. So yeah, so that, I mean, we look back at that and it's like, and also the final game. I mean, Russell came on and did really well as well too, and we sent the message that hey, we are players from the Caribbean, we could compete at this level, and we got more respect. Obviously, they know they had a lot of respect for Dwight and Russ and myself and those boys because we played in the Premiership. But the rest of the team, they got a lot of respect, and obviously when you left the World Cup, you were leaving as a player who played in the World Cup. So obviously your stocks went up when you go to negotiate. You're now an international player and a World Cup player as well too. So definitely your stocks went up. So they give you more respect, especially in the UK as well too.
So now you're coaching. You're coaching in the I think your first national team job was at the under-17 level.
Mm-hmm.
What was the preparation like for that for you, and how did that experience contribute to who you are today as a coach?
Yeah, that experience with that under-17 team, that I mean, up to this day, I still speak to some of those boys. I mean, actually, I coached your son. He played a massive part in our qualifying for the second rounds in the under-17 tournament. I think it was the first time we qualified for under-17 tournament in the second rounds in a number of years. We won against Jamaica in the last game.
And I must say, if I haven't said it before,
we won against Jamaica in the last game.
Grateful for that opportunity. So
yeah, definitely. We in the last game we had to win the game. We had Mexico, we had Jamaica.
Did I hear Jamaica?
Yeah, we won against Jamaica in the final game.
Tell him,
and we got through the second round for the first time in a number of years. Yeah.
Where was the game playing? Mexico? In the Azteca?
No, I played in the US. I played in the US, and yeah. So yeah, I think that experience coaching those bunch of young players. I think with my playing and the better coaching experience I had then, I think I kind of geled together in terms of, like I said, understanding the young player, because we are dealing with a different generation now, and I think we have to treat them in a certain way. I think the players who play in the game right now, they are different mentality. They look at the game different. They act different, and you have to know how to deal with the modern day player. And I think I use my experience from playing and coaching as well too, in order to get the best out of the players. And we did get the best out of the players too. We were together. We did everything together as a team, and I think that goes a long way in our team being successful as well too.
So you didn't have? Did you have any international games in preparation for that?
No, we had none. We had to. Obviously, we had the uses of a strength and conditioning coach. We had to get fit. We had the GPS, and obviously back then the we were getting help from one of the top guys in Trinidad, Guy Griffin, and helping us to get nutrition for the players and different stuff like that too. He was the top guy back then, and he was 100% back in the team no matter what. He's like, hey, I'm gonna try to give you guys everything to help this team out, because I'm seeing this team of quality, and the boys believe in the staff and the coach, and they believe in themselves as well too. So he was supporting us 100%. We were able to do nutrition and get the players to train on time, and they were treated like professional players.
Hey, you missed out on qualification?
Yes, we lost in the second round, in the quarterfinal. I think it was against Mexico again too. But I think the guys done.
Was it Mexico?
Done really well. I think Honduras. We lost to Honduras. Yeah.
Okay.
So and that speaks to, do you feel like you could have done better if you had a different type of preparation for a longer
Of
period of
course,
time, more
if we had better
resources?
preparation and if we had better preparation and more resources and we had the backing of the FA, then yeah, we definitely would have gone faster. I mean, I'm not knocking the FA, but I mean, I think we need to really look after the young players and give them what they want to compete at that level, because I think we going on the days that you're going to prepare for a tournament for be a month before. There were teams that preparing for a whole year before. We were not able to play an international friendly prior or to the build up of the tournament, and those boys done really well and getting themselves in shape and playing at that level to get at least to the second rounds. So I was extremely proud of those boys, and definitely.
So did you stay on after missing that qualification? Did you stay on as the U17 coach?
No, no. Actually, I was the assistant coach to Dennis Lawrence in the senior team. So I decided to go and work with the under 17. So there was no coach available at then. So I mean, they never kept the team together. They never kept the team together and kept me on as the under 17 coach. The team was the dismantled, and you know the story in the Caribbean. They never tried to keep a team together. And I think if the team had been kept together, we would have been
Probably
looking
coming
at some
from
of
the
those
under
boys and
20.
representing. Yep, under 20 and in the senior national team as well too. And that's the different levels and stages that we have to continue having, and so we can compete.
I mean, you're in St. Lucia now. I don't want to go too far, but do you find that this is a Caribbean problem, or it is just, probably Jamaica and Trinidad because they are the two bigger nations in the Caribbean when it comes down to football, or it is based on your experience just right across the entire Caribbean where we need to, like I said, keep our players together, at least from the junior levels, and have some continuity in what we do, and start our preparation, like you said, probably at the under 17 level 2 years before, so that we can be, like I said, the USA and the Mexicans are preparing 2 years in advance, and they are already ahead of us. Shouldn't we be like at least 2 years in advance for tournaments? But maybe it's just like I said, because Jamaica and Trinidad are bigger, they have the problem. But the smaller nations, in terms of football in the Caribbean, it's a completely different thing. I mean, talk to us about that. I'd love to know what your take on that is.
I think you're spot on. I think what you said in a nutshell is the same problem we having across the board in the Caribbean. I think we tend to go to a tournament and we don't keep the players together. I think if you look at international football, the countries around the world who are successful, those players, they play together from under 17, go straight up to the senior team. So they have an idea, and they've been playing with each other for a number of years too, and they've been together, and the preparation is there. I mean, you can't get overnight success. I think we have the wrong mentality and the wrong approach how we want to be successful. There's no way you can get overnight success, and we need to keep these teams together, keep these young players together, look after them. It's an investment, and if you don't invest in the players and invest in the product won't be good. So I think there's a problem, Jamaica, Trinidad, all across the Caribbean. Definitely a massive problem.
I know, and Andre, let me just ask this because someone asked this question earlier. Because we, like again, I think of all the English-speaking Caribbean nations right now. Maybe Jamaica is facing this biggest dilemma, and I don't know if because we have more persons who went away in the Windrush time, but we have a whole host of players who can play for Jamaica, who play in England, from the Premiership all the way down to the lower, to the conference leagues and stuff, right? Same thing we have a lot in the States, which I figure like more Caribbean countries would have a lot in the States. It's very difficult because sometimes there's this major issue, like how many players from outside of Jamaica, born outside of Jamaica, should be playing versus how many local players should be playing, and all kind of stuff, right? I mean, like St. Lucia, how does it work in St. Lucia? Do you just look for St. Lucians all over the globe, or it's more localized in terms of, listen, we're going to use our local players, or wherever you are, we're going to find you and you can come and play for St. Lucia because we want to go to the World Cup.
I think it's very interesting you asked that question because I think for us to compete for the amongst the best countries in the world and to get to play at the top level, we need to bring international players in. I think it goes back to what I said that we don't play enough football in the Caribbean. We don't have our leagues are not strong enough. They're not professional leagues. Most of the leagues are amateur leagues. The local players, they're good enough, but they're not in that professional environment where they get that coaching on a day-to-day basis. So we definitely have to use the local players, the best one that we have, and we have to have that international influence as well too, because those international players, they want to represent the country that their parents were born in, and they can play at that level as well too, you know. So we definitely need to go and bring players in for us to be successful at that level, definitely.
Okay, Mr. Rudolph
And
Speed.
we were able to do the same thing in St. Lucia too as well.
Okay, Rudolph Speed said, I'm blessing Stern John. He's the head of the technical committee for football here in
Yeah,
Jamaica.
Rudolph is top man. I was on a course with Rudolph recently. Top man. Hello.
Oh,
Hello, Pat.
oh,
How you doing? Yeah.
Oh,
Top coach, yeah.
the A license coach where
Yeah.
you're attacking in your own half. That's what they teach there.
Yeah.
Yeah. And you know what is funny? Because he and the A and the B license and the C and the D license coach, they were on the program earlier today telling me, because I said the man square the ball, he said it's not square, it is cross. And then I hear you come on. Who went at the A license score? You know what you said? When our players, they are very skilled, they go down the line and they're supposed to square the ball. They don't. But when the guys, you know, who are playing in England, those guys, when they go down the flank, they will square the ball 9 out of 10 times. So I want you to remind Mr. Rudolph Speed that when we say square the ball in the Caribbean, it is the same thing as crossing the ball. All right.
I'm not gonna fight with Mr. Rudolph. Whatever Rudolph said, he's right. Yeah, whatever Mr. Speed said, he's right. 100% spot on. I'm a friend.
Yeah, but that is interesting though, because let's go back to that, because the issue is that there are some people believe every player you get who is born in England or in the States or somewhere else, it is one player that you are denying an opportunity. A local player, you are denying an opportunity. But the truth is, if that player comes from outside of the country and the team qualifies, it's an opportunity now created for the player who is living in the country. So when Jamaica qualifies, the players in Jamaica benefits from the qualification, even if they did not play a part in the qualification, because it improves your ranking. It makes the nation footballers more marketable. So there is a benefit that I think sometimes is missed. And there's too much complaint, I think, across the Caribbean. I don't know if we are just loyal, like you're only a Caribbean person if you live in the Caribbean. And if you're in the diaspora, you're not Caribbean. You're not real Caribbean. If you're a real Trini, you have to be living in Trinidad. If you're a real Jamaican, you have to be living in Jamaica, because you don't know what it is like to be living on the ground. I don't know if, as a coach, you have experienced those dynamics. You know, as you have dealt with players and with MAs across the Caribbean.
I think people who speak like that, they don't understand the dynamics of the game. I think the game has evolved. If you look at the France and the different countries around the world, half of them, those players are not homegrown players, and they are treated the same way, and they represent the country even more passionate than the local players. So this is an opportunity for the local players to raise themselves and to get to that level as well too. You want to be hungry to get to that level. You want to play at that level, so you can play for your country. It's usually that you're sitting there and someone is fighting for you and saying that they're bringing too much foreigners and this and that and all that kind of stuff. No, go on and put yourself in the shop window. Go and work hard go on and give yourself opportunities to play for your national team. And I think it's important too that we try to bring back a lot of the international players, because they come back with a lot of experience. Don't get me wrong, if they're not bringing anything to the table, then we have to get rid of them or not bring them back. But they must bring something, and they must be better than the local players that we have in order to play for your national team. You're not going to water it down as well too.
It's refreshing to hear you say that, because the sentiment that management is expressing, it does seem to exist throughout the Caribbean. I was listening to a discussion last night, and that sentiment certainly existed on both sides. And it's an evolution that needs to happen, right? We need to evolve to the place where we know that 1 and 1 is 2. How could someone with who parents is from the Caribbean, whichever island you choose, how could that person not be considered a St. Lucian or a Jamaican or a Trinidadian or a Bajan? That's who that person is. And if that person wants to represent the country, as you just said, they have to be better than what is on the island. And I think we can argue at the moment, the development of players in the island, we could improve that, right? We can do a lot more in that regard. So it's refreshing to hear you say that, because the sentiment sometimes rings through, like, and it is not a good feeling if you're on the other side of it. You coach for St. Lucia now. What is the plan? What's St. Lucia's plan for qualifying for 2026?
So when I took over the job, we were in Nations League C. And we qualify for Nations League B. We have 2 more games to play in the Nations League round against Angola and Dominica. June, we have a great opportunity in the first time in the history of the country to qualify for a Gold Cup. The playoffs is gonna be in June in Florida. We are 3 games away from qualifying for a Gold Cup in the first time in the country's history. So I think it's a great time to be around St. Lucian football. It's a great time to be a St. Lucian player. We have a lot of local players really hungry to play for the national team again because of our success the last couple of months. And we have to build on that, because after, like I said, there's a long year ahead of us too as well too. After the Gold Cup, hopefully we do qualify for the Gold Cup, which we have a good chance. There's a World Cup qualifying coming on to the end of the year again. So the World Cup qualifiers are upon us again as well too. So we have to be prepared as much as we can.
You have a few players playing in Jamaica. I know that Vino Barkley, Duxley. Oh geez, there's a player that plays for Portmore United as red. Well, he has locks.
Leicester. Yeah. There's Leicester there as well. There's you have a couple of guys there, well, yeah.
Yeah, you have a couple of guys. Very good goalkeeper in Vino Barkley. One of the better ones in the local leagues out here. What about are the other players though in St. Lucia playing competitively in St. Lucia in preparation for the games that you have in June?
Yes, there's a lot of players in St. Lucia playing the game competitively, but like I said, the level of the leagues here for us to compete at the international level is not the strongest. So we have to try to get as much of our better players outside as much as we can. We have a lot of players playing in Jamaica, but the Trinidad League is not happening the last couple of years. We still have a lot of players we want to send to Trinidad. Hopefully they can get it sorted, and then they can start shortly, so we can get a couple of our players out there too as well to playing at a high level and playing international football.
Okay, do you have players who are connected to St. Lucia by parent, like in the States or in England? Have you looked at those options to see, because this is so important, it could be our first Gold Cup? Are there players who like their grandparents are St. Lucian, so they could come and play for St. Lucia? Let me reach out to them, because you may have a St. Lucian in the Premier League or in the Championship.
Actually, we have a good team behind me. I've been doing a lot of research, and we travel to the UK like twice already to speak to players. I think
Awesome.
one of
You
us
as you
one
as a
of the
coach, you did that as the coach with
yes
others. Awesome.
yes I went
I'd
myself. So
love for you to share the strategy that you use.
I think it's nothing better for, like I said, the international football now. You have to treat them properly. You have to show them that you care about them. You have to go and wine and dine them and let them know and shake their hand, let them know that you mean business. I think gone are the days you're trying to attract players to play for your national team and for your country from abroad. That you send them an email or a text message, or you have to go and shake their hands and meet them and feel that, you know, let them know that hey, we serious about this. We really want you to come and play for this national team, and you're gonna be looked after. I think that is one of the. I think we were successful in doing that when we went to the UK. We spoke to a number of players who played for us during the Nations League, and we were successful as well too. So we're gonna continue doing that because we need to strengthen our team as much as we can.
And persons in St. Lucia are receptive of that.
Of course they are. Of course they are. I mean, you're not gonna be able to keep everyone happy. But the reason for doing it is, like I said, we don't play enough football here. Our leagues here is not an international league or professional league; it's an amateur league. We don't play enough games, so in order for us to compete at that level, we need some international experience to bring them to gel with the local players that we have, because we have a few local players as well. They are very good, but we need to gel both of them, the local and the international players, to be successful.
So you have Nations League coming up, qualifications for the Gold Cup, potential of qualifying for the first time. Is there and those things are right there in front of you within the next 6 months or so.
Yeah.
Does the MA have a plan for 2026 beyond those two to try to get to the World Cup?
Yeah, we have a good plan. I think the MA, the president has been doing a great job in supporting myself and the senior team. I think in the football in the island on the whole, I think I have a strategic plan that we need to speak to him about going into this year. Obviously, we sat down, we spoke about it, and he's 100% on board. We have an election coming up in St. Lucia next week for the presidency, so I'll have to wait and see. And when the president gets back in power, we can go from there. But I think we have a lot of support from the FA as well too, in terms of backing
the business community and the government and everybody is supporting the project.
Yeah. Actually, I was telling some of my friends in Trinidad that I was surprised at the amount of 4G pitches that St. Lucia has, and so the youth can play more football. I mean, those pitches are low maintenance. It's almost like the US. They get to play a lot of football. They have almost like about 4 or 5 in the island, and this is not a big island, as we know, and they have a lot of pitches like that. So the players they have a proper surface to play on. You know.
That's
the
interesting.
government was able to put lights in the fields and different stuff like that. So yeah,
the government.
Why is hold on, management?
The government and the FA as well, and the FA.
Wow.
Why is it important? Why is it important, in your opinion, that they have proper pitches to play on?
I think the kids need a proper surface to play on. I think I mean, gone are the days that you're playing on a pitch that you can't even control the ball. I think the 3G or the 4G pitches are low maintenance as well too, and we just need to sweep it and they can play football all day. I think it's important for the youngsters growing up, for their technique.
How does it contribute to their development?
Yeah, development with their touch, their tactical awareness, their understanding of the game. Because I mean, once you play on a proper pitch, you will be able to pass the ball properly, you'll be able to control the ball properly, and you'll be able to play football in a proper environment and on a good field as well.
Does it affect the speed of play as well?
Yes, it does. Most of the pitches we've got them, so is that kind of give. It's almost like playing on an international surface, because we got the pitches before, which is standard with FIFA. You have to wet the pitch to cool your feet down, whatever like that. But I mean, the speed of the game, the thought process is a lot faster as well too. So you have to think faster, play faster, move the ball quicker, and your touch have to be better as well too.
So it sounds like you have a really good situation in St. Lucia. Okay.
Yeah.
And you and I from Trinidad and Tobago, we want the football to go well in Trinidad and Tobago. You have coached as an assistant coach with the senior team. You have coached under 17. What is different? Why is St. Lucia in the situation that you're describing, and we are having a hard time back home?
I think Trinidad is a lot different. I think we have St. Lucia is not in debt like the FA in Trinidad is in debt in terms of getting stuff done. Obviously, you have a normalization committee there. They are trying to get things sorted so the football can move forward. They have to appoint a president soon. But I think it's more stable here. Our FA or MA, we're not in any kind of financial difficulties at the moment. Everything is above board. So yeah, and we getting the support of the government and the FA as well too. So I think it's a whole different situation.
Yeah, I understand the things you just mentioned, but the support part of it.
Mm-hmm.
You have the support of the government. You have the support of the business community. They're working together. That seems to be eluding us.
It's key.
It seems to be eluding us.
Yeah,
I can't put my finger on why that is.
no, what I want to ask is when because you said there is a plan. I mean, it seemed like you have, because even this what you are doing now in terms of a coach, it is something that Jamaica is just trying to put together, where there's a committee of persons, maybe not including the coach, who would meet and have conversations with these players. Though it happens, there's not a strategic plan. You mentioned a strategic plan. Did you formulate this strategic plan, or did you, the coach, the technical director, the head of the federation, the FA there, the federation, meet the business, the head of the business community, the minister of sport, all meet and created a strategic plan with a short-term goal of going to Pool B of the Nations League. Next one, midterm qualifying for the Gold Cup, and long-term qualifying for 2026 World Cup. Is it something that you all did, or you went there and said, this is the plan, buy into it?
Yeah, as a coach, I mean, when I came with a plan, and I was able to get all the different MAs together, even the government, the minister of sports, everyone, and a lot of the support came from those guys, and they bought into what we're doing. I think for us to be successful, we have to be together. I think no one man is an island, nowhere in the world, or even in football. We have to be together, and we have to support each other as much as we can. And like I said, so far the support has been tremendous. When I got here and I laid out the blueprint, the GS, the technical director, even the president, everyone has been supportive of the plan. And like I said, knock on wood, hopefully we going to take St. Lucia in the right direction for the next couple of years to come.
You're scaring me, because there's 3 spots available. Okay, and it's sounding as though you're going to try to get one of those spots. Is that correct?
Definitely, my president said once he qualifies for World Cup, he's going to drop the mic. He's out. That's it. He's done, and that's his dream.
I don't know how many spots are actually left, because as far as I'm hearing, in the circles of Jamaica, one belongs to us.
I think you have to play. You have to play for the spot. You know, you have to make it. It's there.
So
it's almost like saying
a
lot of people. I remember a lot of people said when we qualified for the World Cup, Jack Warner created that for us, but we still had to play the game. So
we still had to play the game.
Yeah. So yeah.
I have a friend. He wouldn't stop saying that. He says that when he wouldn't stop saying that. Look, Stone, if you've certainly had a good career, a very good career, and you took a route that is not necessarily traditional in the entire career. There's 2 things. One, did you win any trophies in England? And what is the highlight of your career? What is the best moment of your entire career? starting in Trinidad.
Obviously we won. Like I said, we won 2 trophies qualifying because I had two qualifications of qualifying for the Premiership, right? So one was at Birmingham City, so we won a title there, and also with Sunderland with Roy Keane.
Right.
I forgot that we never got a chance to mention that.
Yeah, we didn't mention.
Because you did get promoted.
Yeah, we got promoted on 2 occasions. Yeah, with Roy Keane.
Right.
Yeah.
Did Kenwyn Jones played for Sunderland, or was it Stoke?
He played for Sunderland, but we didn't play together.
Okay.
Actually, he was at Stoke, and obviously, the when we qualified for the Premiership, my second time with Sunderland, in the second season, obviously, like I said, Roy Keane is probably one of my favorite coaches of all time, a real stand-up guy, proper professional, and he came to me. He told me, I can't guarantee you're going to start. I mean, but there's an offer to go to Southampton, and Kenman is going to come this way. So I mean, I think he was an honest man. He pulled me as a professional, as a real man as well, and tell me, and I have the option. So I decided. I stood up and I said, thanks for the opportunity, but I want to play. And I shook his hand and I went to Southampton, and Kenman came to Sunderland.
Oh, what a thing! Yeah. Did they know that you're both Trinis?
Yeah, they knew. Back then, we had a lot of Trinis there. We had Carlos Edwards, we had Dwight York, we had myself.
And they said one Trinity to Southampton and the one from Southampton came. That is, you have had some very strange transfer situation from 250,000 US per goal to moving. But you also played for Crystal Palace. Was that in the Premier League?
I played. No, they were in the Championship as well too.
Okay.
The two clubs I played for in the Premiership were Birmingham and Sunderland.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But I played for Southampton as well too. Yeah, I was top goal scorer at Southampton as well too. Yeah.
Okay. So I think the other part of the question, the highlight of your career, was the other part of the question. That is part B of what Andre was.
Your best moment. Absolutely best moment.
Oh,
because,
man.
And before you answer, I think I saw an interview somewhere some time back. I can't remember it exactly, but I think it was relating to an FA Cup game and scoring a goal for somebody and being considered a hero in that tournament.
Was Birmingham? I think it was Birmingham. Birmingham.
I can't remember the.
Yeah, we had a local derby. Birmingham.
That was a derby game.
The two teams. Yeah, back in those days when you score against a local derby, you're a legend for the rest of your life. And I was able to score against Aston Villa, which is our rival in Birmingham, because both clubs are in Birmingham actually.
Yeah. So
I scored against Aston Villa, and even up to this day, I don't have to buy a beer in some parts of Birmingham, so it's fantastic. Yeah.
You just beat Jamaicans everywhere you go. I think there's a Jamaican right now.
Yeah. So,
even after you left the league, you're beating them. That's
yeah.
But who is it?
But what was your best moment? Your best moment. Okay. Hands down.
I have to say, as much as I enjoy playing the Premiership and the Championship, I have to say best moment is playing in a World Cup. I think like I said, that first game when you say that your national anthem and representing your country, I mean, it's priceless. There's a moment in life that you'll never forget as long as you live. Actually getting to play in a World Cup, and now people have to look at you as a player who played in the World Cup. They have to respect you. So yeah.
I have a tough question for you.
Mm-hmm.
You always wanted to play for Trinidad. You would fight with your managers to play for Trinidad. It would be a great honor to play in a World Cup and coach in a World Cup. But if you had to choose between St. Lucia and Trinidad going to the 2026 World Cup,
I knew at some point someone would give me a load. I knew at some point someone. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I knew at some point someone would have given me a loaded question. I knew that at some point.
And you could opt out if you want.
I just knew that. Yeah,
I have
I'm
a better
playing
question for you. I
the,
would not
since
put.
you guys are in the US, I'm playing the fifth.
No, you know what? I'm going to ask you a completely different question. Let me ask you something because that question will get you in trouble. Anyway,
I knew. Yeah, I knew. People are going to be outside my door soon and send me to you.
So here's a question. I mean, you have played against Caribbean footballers, and you did say that at Columbus you had several Jamaicans there playing. I mean, who are some of the other Caribbean players outside of those from Trinidad that you have played with or against that you admire in terms of their quality and what they have accomplished?
Oh, I played with Burton. Played with him. We played against him. Nandy Lowe, big strong striker. Probably one of the best left footers striking the ball in the world. You know. Taylor Whitmore. A couple of those boys are. I mean, Papa. He's probably one of the best exports we had in the Caribbean for years. I wish we could produce more players like that. Not to mention Russell Latby, Dwight York, Arnold Dorica, those boys. You know. So yeah, we have a lot of talent past the Caribbean the last decade or two or more. So hopefully we can produce more talent like that in the future.
Yeah. Are there any Caribbean players now, young players that coming through either? I mean, Jamaica, Trinidad, St. Lucia, anywhere else? Like I think like this one is going to be one of the other big names because we haven't had that since like, you know, the Ricardo Fullers. If you come down to, you know, you have the whole era with the Dwight York and like I said, with persons like you and Kenwin Jones and the Shaka Hislops, and then you had the Ricardo Fuller, Ricardo Gardner, the Jermaine Johnson, all of these guys. I mean, Kevin Molina do in the MLS. I mean, are you following Caribbean football and kind of know, listen, there's this one player, there are these players who they are doing well, they play in Europe or somewhere, but they're from the Caribbean who you could see them breaking out in being like big star like you were.
No, there's a number of players, like I said, but obviously Kevin Molino is a world class player, fantastic player. One of the best footballers, like we say, he loved the football so much, he loves the game, you know. One of the best, like I say, another great player, partially Trinidad and partially Caribbean as well too. And no, we need someone to pass the baton to. I think he's in the twilight of his career. He picked up a couple of injuries, so I mean he's gonna start back playing soon and stuff like that too. So we can continue. But I know we have a young player called Levi Garcia who's lighting up the European markets in the UK as well too. But like I said, I don't want to put too much pressure on them and the expectation as a professional player, as an international player, is very high. And we have to wait until they get to that level to see what they do in the future. But like I said, we have a lot of players who have potential to be world class players and to be like some of the greats that pass through the Caribbean as well.
Yeah. This is not. I think this is Pitar Tadik. He's saying, this is not Shaka Hislop. If it were Shaka, he'd probably have on his suit.
Yeah, he would have on his suit. Yeah.
This is actually Stirred Judd. That's how you see the SJ. Yes. Andre, what else you want to ask?
No, what I want to say, still it has bothered me for a long time. You that in terms of World Cup qualifying goals, and where I think you were fourth at one time, and I think when you retired that had dropped to 7. I remember one time, I think that's a tremendous accolade to have, to being up there with some of the names that has been up there. And I heard a ESPN analyst one time, suggesting that, well, that's CONCACAF, so it's not the same, which was very disappointing.
He sound like a couple of the people in Trinidad, because I think I can make this point too as well too, because I mean, they talk about me scoring all these goals in the Caribbean against Barbados and Grenada and different stuff like that. It's almost like Ronaldo scoring against Gibraltar and Fair Island and different stuff like that. Nobody's going to talk about that.
Yeah,
It's the same thing. So people like that who talking like that, they don't understand the game. They don't understand football. So we don't need to prove anything to them. I mean,
Yeah,
you're only as
yeah.
good as what's in
I was
front of you.
disappointed when
And
I heard him.
exactly,
I
yeah.
could, I
But that
could,
is fine. That is fine.
yeah,
That
I
is
was
only a
really
small pocket of
disappointed.
people who don't understand the game, you know. So
The, the
that
thing,
is fine. But
the thing is that the United States has played against those same teams,
exactly,
and they
exactly.
don't have a goal scorer who has scored so many goals.
But he's not gonna say that in front of people who understands the game and
Well,
who's gonna put him
he
in his
said it
place and
on
let him know.
air. He actually
Exactly.
said it on
Yeah.
air.
Yeah.
And
He's
I
a
was
good motivator.
disappointed. I was surprised because he played the game and and to talk about it in that manner was truly disappointing. Look, it's song. I appreciate the
Well, somebody's
sentiment you just
asking.
expressed.
Oh, sorry.
I appreciate the sentiment you just expressed in terms of how you treat the players that you want to come play for St. Lucia. You go overseas, you meet with them, you make them feel the love, I guess, make them feel wanted, let them know that you're serious and the country is you're going to take good care of them. That's a really good quality, and I would encourage you to spread that with your colleagues all around every chance you get, because we don't normally hear that. I don't normally hear that from coaches.
Yeah, and there's a question. He says, "Did you play alongside Russell Latapi? Was he good enough to play EPL? In your opinion, I certainly think he could."
Easy, very easy. I think Russell
Russell Latapi
is
could
a
play La
world class
Liga.
player.
He could
Yeah,
play
everywhere.
Bundesliga. He could play
Yeah,
in the
yeah,
Portuguese. He could play in any one of the leagues, as far as I'm concerned.
yeah. Latapi is world class,
Top player.
world class, world
Yeah.
class.
Yeah, what is your hope? My final question is, what is your hope for Caribbean football? Because I always like, when I do these shows, one of the things I like to say is that the best time in Caribbean football was when we had rivalries throughout the Caribbean because of our own Caribbean league. And we have departed from that. I know there's a nation league, but I just feel like if we could start doing that, even for players who are based locally, it would be a whole lot better for them and helping their development and building that competitive sense and the mentality in Caribbean football. Because until we start being one Caribbean, we will not be dominant as individual nation in the Caribbean. I think this thing where Jamaica believes that they can go off and do their thing and they will make it, and Trinidad believes the same, and Barbados it's not going to work, because our best times have always been when we were competing regularly against each other, because we were making each other better from a local perspective. And I mean, what is your hope for Caribbean football? And that would be my last question for you.
No, it's funny that you said that too as well. So I think even though the football has moved on to the Nations League and different stuff like that, I think we can come together as Caribbean countries and still compete amongst each other, have our own smaller tournaments and different stuff like that, especially for the local players, because like you said, the Shell Cup and those Caribbean Cups back in those days, we were able to bed a lot of young players through and let them play international football, get a taste of international football and what it's like, and compete against opposition. We need to play more football, definitely internationally, with the different Emmys. We don't play enough. We have the money that to spend to play international football and get international games. We need to play more, definitely, so the players can get that international experience.
Yeah.
So
Andre, anything else? Okay, go ahead.
So we have last thing, we have Kamara David on Friday. If you would have, what can we say to him? What do you need in the Caribbean at the moment? What could he do right now?
No, we need to get back. We need a long term plan. I think it's not a short term plan. I think if we look back at the World Cup and we look back at the qualifiers, we have teams from CONCACAF, and no team from the Caribbean has even gotten close to there in such a long time. I mean, that is is a scary thing to see, a scary thought. I mean, we need to start back developing our football in the Caribbean as much as we can, and I think we need to pay attention to it as well too. We need to focus and do as much as we can to get back Caribbean football on the map again, because apart from Trinidad and Jamaica, they get most of the international football around the world, and because they are respected and because of their names, and we need more countries in the Caribbean to get that international experience as well, and people want to play against them. So yeah, they need to sort that out as soon as possible, because
At both the senior and the
we
youth
already,
level, right?
yeah, from the youth level, like I said, we need to put a system in place. It's not going to be short term; have to be long term. From youth level, come all the way up to from grassroots, as they say. A lot of people come online and we talk this and we talk that. We need to get it right and sort it out.
Yeah. I don't know anyone who wasn't rooting for Stern as a Jamaican, even when he was playing in the World Cup. I feel like he made us all proud. There you go. So lots of Jamaican love. I don't know, Jamaicans and the Trinis, when it come on to football, we love them, but
Yeah,
I'm
they love
telling
me.
you.
That is a whole different. That's a whole different. Like I say, they're really passionate. Those two islands really
Yeah.
passionate about the game. Yeah, and I like it. I like it. You can't not like it. You must love it.
I remember that Trinidad team with Marvin Andrews was his name.
Yeah, Marvin Dog. Yeah, Marvin and Juice. Yeah, doggy.
Yeah, and the goalkeeper, he was a tall. That was before Shaka. Always Ince was his name.
Clayton.
Clear the Ince. Yeah, those guys used to give us a warm time. And the first time I cried, was playing in saving some. I'm telling you, man. So good. I wish those days would return, because I think it does something to just Caribbean people on a whole. It makes the football better. I'm really hoping that we can find a way as a people to. When I look at Europe, even Africa, even Asia, there is a coming together. South America, there is a coming together. I see players just moving across. South America still have the Copa America, right?
Yeah.
You understand me? I don't know. Asia still have their different competition. The Asian Cup that they play, African Cup of Nation is still played. But what we have is really, we don't have anything Caribbean. What we have is something for the entire CONCACAF. And we have so many nations in the territory, 35 member association.
Mm-hmm. Yep. We're strong, and we're stronger in numbers. We need people like Kamara and them to go and fight for the Caribbean. Yeah. We have too much of guys in there that's going in there and looking after themselves, man.
Yeah, but I want to thank you so much for coming on. I mean, I have learned so much from your story. Like I said, I mean, unconventional route. Mercer to A League, to MLS, straight into England, from club to club, and scoring goals in every single one. I've not heard, like I said, you know what? Well, I went to this and it was we had a bad time. Like it seemed like every club you went, the goals kept on coming. I don't remember you ever having any injuries. Just watching you as well, where you're out of the game for any lengthy period of time, as well, which means that you probably take good care of of yourself, which is also important. I know you did say you got a hit in the calf. I think that was probably the only thing where you missed a return game in MLS. You had the pleasure of playing in the World Cup. I mean, you like I said, the coach an under 17 team in Trinidad to the second phase of the tournament, and now you're in St. Lucia. All the best, because St. Lucian football has really gotten better over probably the last three or so years. I mean, I see players out here, the Vina Barkley, Melvin Doxley. I forget the name of the player at Portmore United. Oh my Lord, he is.
Alvinus, Pogba.
Yes, that player. There you go. Very good player as well. Very good player. But Vina Barkley, very good goalkeeper. So
Vina's not listening, because he's gonna come back with his head swollen.
No, but I'm telling you, Vina Barkley at Cavaliers is one of the best goalkeepers in the league.
Yeah.
He's right up there with the rest of them and stuff, you know. I know Duxley has been out injured. He's at Mount Pleasant.
Yeah.
He has been out injured for a while. Very unfortunate. He was having some good times at Cavaliers as well. So St. Lucian football is in a good place. Let's see if Jamaica and Trinidad can step up their game. You know.
Yeah, definitely.
Like
Actually,
it in
actually, we
history.
are in
But
process
still,
of
I think you had two major
starting
injuries.
a celebration league. Yeah, I had two major injuries. I had two knee injuries actually. I had a patella graft and one knee, and my other knee I had a cruciate ligament as well too. So I had two major injuries in my career. I had a
It says,
cadabra for my
please tell us how you guys like to go out after World Cup qualifying games in Trinidad and Mr. Plane to England, Canada players return on time, so no excuse. I don't.
It's yeah. I don't think you could. Yeah, you can move that on, man.
I don't understand the question. I don't know.
Yeah. But
yeah.
it's not.
Neither
It's
me,
not.
neither me.
It's not why we're here.
Yeah, yeah,
It's not why
yeah.
we're here.
Okay.
Still, thank you
And I
very
always
much.
have one. Don't worry, no
You have
problem.
always been you've always been good. One of the humblest individuals that I know. Respectful and all the lot. So I really appreciate you coming on, and good luck with St. Lucia. I must say that I don't know how I want you to be successful, but I don't want you to go to the World Cup
No,
before
I
Trinidad
don't,
and Tobago. I don't know how I'm going to work that out.
I am not convinced, Stern, that he wants it to be successful.
I know,
No,
right?
but I want him to be, but I don't know. I don't know if okay, Stin, go ahead and win the Gold Cup, Stin.
Yeah. And I coach both of his sons too as well too. So
Say that again.
You said he
I
coached both of
both
your
of his
sons.
sons. Yeah. So
Yeah.
I know how to
No,
play against them when I see them.
that, when you get coached with people with that type of experience, there's no replacement for that. So that's good, and I'm
Well,
grateful for your contribution in that regard.
yeah. So let's hope that they because you're probably one of the first coaches who like you coach a country outside of the not one of the first, but not many Caribbean coaches coach Caribbean nations outside of their own.
Yeah.
Not many. There have been a few. So I just can imagine something is going to happen in a tournament where St. Lucia and Trinidad are going to end up in the same zone. It's just inevitable.
Yeah. And the qualifiers probably some. Trust me.
Yeah.
It's good. You gotta read that. What's happening there? It's almost like he's praying for Jamaica to avoid us.
Yeah.
Because the history is good, right? For him.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, man. Really enjoyed talking to you. So I don't know if there's anybody who want to thank you, want to greet the fans, the people from Trinidad and Tobago. I see Nazir Gray is here. He said he's Brent's friend, the one who put up the picture that you were in. But I want to thank you for coming on. Really appreciate you taking time out. Is it Carnival in Trinidad?
In like 3 weeks.
In 3 weeks, and I mean, I'm glad that you did this because it looked like you're a serious man about your work, and you're not going to give up your job to go to Carnival. And that's
No, I'm not. Definitely not. I'll have to set this one out. Yeah.
Well, it's so good to have had you on. To all the persons from Trinidad and Tobago who have tuned in, thank you so much. All the Jamaicans home and abroad, thank you so much. I hope there were at least a few St. Lucians, because he is the St. Lucia national coach, watching the program. So Melvin Duxley and Vina Barkley, I hope Mr. Speed send the link to you, or else you will not be called up for the next Nation League game. I'm just kidding. You will be called up. But go ahead, Stern, and just say your final words before you go.
No, thanks for having me. It's been a pleasure chatting with you guys. And for letting the fans know of my experience of a player and as a coach as well too. So thanks for the opportunity, and wish you guys all the best in your program as well too. Fantastic.
Wonderful. All right, so there you go, people. That was Mr. Stern John, the present national coach of the St. Lucia national football team. I mean, had a stellar career from Mercer to A League team. Then he went on into the MLS. Had a good time in the MLS, right? Moved on from there, went to Nottingham Forest, to Birmingham, Sunderland, Crystal Palace, played in the Premier League, consistently scored goals. Fourth highest, when he stopped playing, he was the fourth highest goal scorer in World Cup qualifying. Big and major accomplishment. I mean, um, and we need to hear these stories because sometimes we don't know the magnitude of a man's work, how much they have accomplished. And I'm glad that we were able to hear this, to hear his work with the St. Lucia football administrators to get them on the path that they're on, making progress. It was such a pleasure speaking with him, and I will just hand over to the man who really, I mean, put this together, Andre, for him to, share his thoughts on what happened this evening, and then yeah, we will close out the show tonight. Go ahead, Andre.
Yeah, yeah, man. I thought Stern is always good conversation. I know we haven't been able to hit on anything, but we did learn a few things this afternoon. Uh, um, he's had a really good career, and I hope he can do the same as he approaches coaching career. I I'm normally hesitant when players go straight from playing and go into international football because it doesn't, in my opinion, it doesn't give you the opportunity to test your ideas. It's different because you're not coaching every weekend, you're not coaching every day. International football is played at different periods during the year. So throughout the course of the year, you can coach 4 games or 6 games, right? Versus 30, 20 to 30 games a year. But Stern seems to have a good mentality. It's always a pleasure talking to him, and I wish him luck.
Wonderful. Listen, and I want to thank you as well, Andre, for putting this together. Really great conversation. Listen, we also have on Friday at 6:30 Eastern Standard Time, we'll be having Kamara David. He will be doing part two. He's a general secretary for the CFU, which is the Caribbean Football Union, and he's going to conclude the conversation that we had, right? So that is going to be on Friday, right, Andre, at 6:30
Yes.
on Super Friday. Listen, I think Brain Drain said it earlier. We are on the I Am Sure Sports. We are just like 18 subscribers away from 5,000. You need to subscribe. But you see, on the I Am Sure Sports Caribbean, I want all of you to go over there and hit the subscribe button, please. Yeah, we have to increase the subscription over there. It's the same good quality content that we're providing. So please go over and do that. I see Gunner's boss with a late one. He says, I do Stern John did not normal. I know of him, but didn't know his true greatness. Thanks for bringing him on. Big us, big up Gunner's boss. Gunner's boss, the next time I see you on I Am Sure Sports, you have to have on your Arsenal jersey. Don't just bear the name, wear the jersey. But yeah, thanks for coming on. Big up Anonymous OG, all the Trinidadian fans who were in here, the Jamaicans, and all persons from all over. We want to say a big thank you to you. Andre, anything you want to say? Or we can
No, I'm
close
good.
it now.
Yep, I'm
Yeah.
good.
Take care, people. Be safe. That's Andre. You can call him the fortunate one. And this is man is man. You understand me? We are great minds and think alike. That is why we support Arsenal. We are still top of the league. I hear people
Top
talking
of the
about
league.
the secondary cup that Newcastle and Manchester United will be playing for. We're playing for the real deal. Others are playing for, So listen, take care. Have yourself a wonderful, wonderful night. We have a big one that we're going to drop tomorrow in our morning edition. You don't want to miss it. Have yourself a blessed night. I am Manningsman, that's Andre, and when it gets to this point, we say we are over and we are OUT out of here.
Yo, watch about dog, SK New Erdis, the body out there, Sniper King I represent for I Am Sure Sports. You get to me, I say, when you want the latest news and sports and updates and all of that, check out I Am Sure Sports. You know the thing goes in. Remember, you cover the whole island. Remember Kingston, Westmoreland, Galchester, Ocherase, Galtigo Bay, everywhere. I Am Sure Sports, check it out for the latest news and latest updates. Sniper King I represent. Where them feel like, yeah, someone on for the food from young, from where they knee height. I Am Sure Sports. Yeah, dog.